Hey drummers, Merry Christmas and welcome to this free full video song lesson. My last little Christmas treat to you guys. As suggested over on my Facebook page, or as voted for, today I want to show you how to play the song Christmas, Baby Please Come Home by U2, drums of course by Larry Mullen Jr. I've got both pages of the full PDF drum chart for you to download from my website. You'll find the link beneath this video. So have both pages printed out in front of you as we go through this together. It's going to make things a lot easier for you to understand. And while you're over at my website, you might want to consider signing up to become an online member. I'm currently offering a 50% discount because it's the Christmas period. It's a nice thing to do. And so if you want to save yourself 50% on becoming a full year's member, getting access to all 600, almost 600 full video song lessons from my website, then please go over there to do so. You'll find the link again beneath this video. So we got the intro, the drums enter at 11 seconds. It's a triplet based song, so we're feeling 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and then when we get into the verse we're going to feel this shuffle rhythm, which we'll get onto in a second. But first of all, we have this cool drum fill that starts the song. Bit of dynamics involved, so not just simply all on the snare drum, there's some accents going on, but really what we're playing is just triplets on the snare drum. 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 triplet, 2 3 4, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And over the length of the 2 bars, we're going to build up in volume, so starting very quiet and then get into normal volume by the end of the 2 bars. Underneath that, Larry is playing the bass drum on beats 1 and 3. So we get 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. We're into our first part. On top of that, we've got some accents going on beats 1 and on beats 3 with those bass drum notes. So it starts with the crash cymbal, our first accent, and we start off very quietly on the snare drum. Then we get from beat 3 onwards these accents coming down with the snare, with the bass drum on beats 3 and, like I say, on beats 1 and 3 in the second bar. There's a slight bit of accent going on beats 1, 2 and on beats 4 as well, but really what the feel you want to go for is this gradual build up of volume over the length of the 2 bars. Don't worry too much on accenting every beat of the bar, beats 1, 2, 3 and 4. Really accent the downbeats with the bass drum on beats 3, beats 1 and 3, and then gradually over the length of 2 bars build up a volume, and that give you the feel that Larry's going for. And really by the end of the 2 bars, from beat 3 onwards, you're sort of accenting all the snare drum notes, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So then we go on to our first groove, which is in triplets. Now, throughout the song, we've got this overdubbed sleigh bell effect going on. If you want to replicate that, then you could use your hi-hat foot, basically playing quarter notes on beats 1, 2, 3 and 4. But I don't think that's what Larry's doing on the recording. Again, it was overdubbed. And if you watch him play it on the music video, he's not stepping his hi-hat foot on quarter notes. But you certainly could if you wanted to. If you're more advanced, you could splash the hi-hats to create that sort of sleigh bell effect if you wanted to. But really, it's the bass drum on all 4 beats that's the main thing that Larry's doing with his feet in this case. And then with his right hand on the floor tom, he's playing the shuffle rhythm. So we're still in triplets, the triplet thing hasn't changed. But just very briefly, if you don't know what a shuffle rhythm is, we're playing the first and the third note of the triplet. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Beats 1 and 3 of each triplet note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's creating our shuffle triplet feel. On top of that, Larry is playing the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. Not always, as we're going to see, but it's like a 2-bar phrase he does, where the first bar he's playing the snare drum on beats 2 and 4, and then in the second bar he does some kind of snare and crash thing, which we'll go on to in a second. He does vary it out throughout the song. So the first example, we come in with the crash cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you've got a crash cymbal over the top of your floor tom, you're going to find these snare and crash stabs quite easy to do, relatively easy to do, because you're not coming up too far from the floor tom and then back down to the floor tom to play those notes in between. If your crash cymbal's quite far away from your floor tom, over here for example, then you don't feel the need, then you don't have to feel the need to rush back to the floor tom to play the next shuffled floor tom note. You can leave out some of those notes and cut back down to the floor tom on the downbeat instead. So our first example with beat 1 on the crash cymbal, instead of playing 1 and 2, you could play 1 and 2. So you're not having to, you could play 1 and 2. You don't feel the need to rush back to play the 1 and, you could play 1 and 2. And it's the same as when we start playing those offbeat snare and crashes. Don't feel the need to cut back down to play the downbeat on the floor tom. You could come back in with the floor tom on the next shuffle note or the next downbeat. Basically, feel free to leave in these gaps with what the right hand's doing. The crash cymbal will be ringing out and filling in those gaps. No one's going to miss those extra floor tom notes. But if you've got the crash cymbal over your floor tom like I have, then it's relatively easy to move to and from it and fill in all those notes. So first bar again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and second bar we get this cool idea where we don't play the snare drum on beat 4, instead we delay it and we play it on the upbeat, the shuffle upbeat notes of the and of 4 with the snare drum and crash cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So I'm playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on its own, then and 4 and snare off the floor tom to the crash cymbal, snare on the and of beat 4. So that's really the most common drum fill that Larry does throughout this song. Let me play that a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 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 and 1 and 2. Really cool offbeat sort of snare and crash effect there. The second two bars are exactly the same as the first two bars, except without that crash cymbal on beat 1. Once we started playing the crash on beat 1, he sort of leaves it alone, the downbeat, and sort of just plays these upbeat things at the end of each of the two bars, mostly. So the second two bars, basically the same. Then the next line, it's quite hard to hear on the recording. I'm pretty sure the first two times he doesn't play the snare drum on beat 4. I might be mistaken when we start to go into the song where it starts to get a bit louder with all the instruments. He might be playing a quiet snare drum on beat 4. Sometimes it's obvious he's playing the snare drum on beat 4, other times it's not so obvious. So for this next two bars, I've read it the same as above, but he could be playing this. Where he is playing the snare drum on beat 4. So if you want to do something like that to create a bit more layers to your drumming, absolutely fine. If you wanted to play, which he definitely does later on, where both those snare drums are the same volume, you could do that as well. But what he might be doing, and I'm not 100% sure, he could be playing this one more time. So feel free to add in those extra snare drum notes if you wanted to. So the next two bars, bars 3 and 4 of that line, we definitely do get the two snare drum notes being played on 4 and the and of 4. Then the next line, line 3, we get bar 2 of the 2 bar phrase, snare drum on 4 and again. Bar 4 of the 2 bar phrase, we get just the snare drum on its own on the and of 4. I think again, last time I mentioned it, he could be playing the snare drum on the beat 4, up to you. But really what you're hearing is this. Then the last line, we get the 4 and for bar 2. And then bar 3, we get an extra snare drum and crash cymbal on beat 4. So you've just got to look out for where the extra crash cymbals are in these examples. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I'm just coming up to the crash cymbal on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is a good example of where you don't feel the need to rush. So I'll try and use this crash cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So what I'm trying to show you here, for example, you could play 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. I'm not playing and 4, I'm playing 3 and 4. So the example there, we don't feel the need, up to you. Last time I mentioned that as well. So bar 4 of the 2 bar phrase, we get, I think, an extra tom note being played, because it's not the snare drum note that I'm hearing, it's like an extra heavy floor tom note, so I think he's playing an extra tom with it at the same time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. To give that last skip note, the and 4, that a bit more meat. Or where I left out the floor tom on the and 4 to give my right hand time to move to the crash cymbal, but I'm playing the high tom there to give it a different feel, to make emphasise that last floor tom note, or high tom in this case. So then we go on to break 1, where I've written here Larry is clicking sticks on beats 2 and 4. So leave out that for a moment. Basically, very, very simple. We've got this these crash cymbals on 1, and then on 4 and on beat 1 of the next 2 bars. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, he doesn't play the 4 again, he plays it on beat 1 for the next line. In between that, and he doesn't do it every time, sometimes he skips over beat 2 after the crash cymbal, but you can see it on the video and hear it as well. He's clicking the sticks, so it's sort of like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're into our intro drum fill again, played exactly the same way. So that second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, triplet, 2, triplet, 3, triplet, 4, triplet, 1. Then we're into our next verse, verse 2. So before I go on, let me now play for you everything we got up to speed so far. The intro, verse 1 and break 1 without a microphone on so you can hear just the drums. Here we go. So apart from a few extra drum fills, we've really got the song down to 2 different sections. So verse 2 continues, bar 2, we just get the snare drum on the and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Then bar 4 is the same as that first 2 bars, and then the next line we get, again, same idea, same 2 bars. Bar 3 of that last line has the 4 ands. So usually it's on the second bar of the 2 bar phrase. Now it's on the first bar of the 2 bar phrase, so look out for that. And then bar 4, we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And this is a little drum fill that was quite hard to hear, but I think this is what he's playing. He's playing, starting from that last shuffle note of the and 4, he's playing 2 notes into a crash cymbal on the next bar. So sort of feel it going boom into the crash cymbal. Feel the downbeat, you're aiming for the downbeat on the crash cymbal. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Your right hand shouldn't feel like it's changing because you're playing that floor tom still in the same place, but you're putting a left hand in between the first floor tom and the crash cymbal. So bars 3 and 4 there. Then on to the second page, where if you're not aware of it, it might miss you. You might catch you out. We get the crash cymbal on beat 1. We just come out that drum fill, but then we've also got another snare and crash on beat 2. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is a good example where you really don't have to feel the need to come back to the floor tom for that shuffle note on the and beat 1. Go 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Don't feel the need to fill in the gaps there unless you want to. So bar 2 of that 2 bar is we start to settle into this 4 and for most of the song now. Well, without any crash cymbals for this guitar solo. Next 2 bars, exactly the same, but beat 4, I think he's playing that tom again. I don't think it's a snare drum being played. 4 and instead of 4 and, it's 4 and. Next line, crash cymbal on beat 1, 4 and for the second bar, and then also for the 4th bar the same, but the snare drum on the and 4 is quite loud and quite distinct, so I think he leaves out the floor tom on the and beat 4. You can see him do it in the music video as well, I think. So you're definitely giving his right hand time to come up to a crash cymbal instead of playing 4 and 1. He's playing 4 and 1. Up to you, not important, but I thought I'd include it and it's an interesting point to point out. Pointy point. So then we go on to break 2, which is the exact same as break 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Same build up again going into our final verse. Before we do, let me go back to page 1. I'm going to play verse 2, those 2 lines and the guitar solo up to speed so we can hear those ideas play properly as well. Here we go. So back to verse 3, and we just got to look out for some extra crash cymbals and some little drum fills. So first 2 bars, standard stuff on bar 2. Bar 4 is the same. Line 2, bar 2 is the 4 and. Look out for bar 3 where we play the snare and crash on beats 2 and on beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then bar 4, we get a surprise snare drum and crash on the and of beat 1. 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3. Snare drum on beat 3. So be aware of that as well. Snare drum moves from 2 and 4 to beat 3 for this bar. And then I think he plays the 2 toms again to give that beat 4 a bit more emphasis. And 4, and he plays the and 1 drum fill again coming out of it. So bars 3 and 4 probably the trickiest bars of the song, apart from that build-up if you're worried about dynamics. We get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1. Then we go to line 3, snare and crash on the and of 4, and then same for bar 4. The 4th line, we get the same idea again. Bar 3 has the 4 and idea appearing early, and then bar 4 is the 1 and 2, snare and crash on 2, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the and of 4 as well. Then we go into the second to last line where you got the snare and crash occurring on beat 2 again, a recurring theme towards the end of the song. Bar 2 has the 4 and. Bar 3 has the 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Bar 4 has the 4 and, 4 and. And then the last line where it says fade out, the song starts to fade out. We just get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I think he leaves out the floor tom. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Not count like that is. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Where the song completely fades out. So before we finish, let me now play for you. I'll play from the second line of verse 3 because that's where the interesting stuff starts to happen. So basically the second line of verse 3 to the end of the song. Here we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me, rob@drumstheword.com. Don't forget to download both pages of the PDF from my website. Again, the link is beneath this video. And one more final time I want to mention it. My website is giving a 50% discount on becoming an online member. You get almost 600 full video song lessons, just like this lesson, teach you the song from start to finish. You get the fully transcribed PDF drum chart. And I've got a load of other U2 song lessons up on the website, as well as a load of other Christmas songs as well, if you're interested. As a thank you for signing up, I give you access to hundreds of little videos teaching you many famous drum beats, fills and solos. I'll give you 3 ebooks I've written over the years containing hundreds more famous drum beats, fills and solos. And then over the year of your subscription, you also gain instant online access to all the new material that I upload for my members. And I record new lessons every week unless I'm on holiday or ill. So you've got lots of stuff to look forward to over the year of your subscription. But I will be on holiday for the next week or so. I'll be back soon. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time off. Get behind the kit if you've got time off work. And have a merry one. I'll speak to you soon. Happy drumming.